how to perform end-to-end MCP server testing. This video walks you through the process of checking whether your MCP servers are working correctly. We are going to test MCP servers in just 5 simple steps. So, to do this, let's start with the first step, which is navigating to the testing section. In this tutorial, we'll walk through how to test MCP servers from end to end, starting from the dashboard. To get to the testing section, click the Testing tab in the top navigation bar. The testing workspace opens up, and since we haven't added anything yet, you'll see a No Servers Yet message prompting us to add an MCP server first. We are now in the testing section. Let's move on to importing servers from the marketplace, where we can quickly add some pre-built sample MCP server connections instead of configuring each one manually. To add your first MCP server, click the Add a Server link. In the connection modal that pops up, give your server a recognizable name by typing it into the name field. Instead of setting one up manually, let's take a faster route. Hit Cancel to close this modal. Click the Import button to reveal a dropdown with more options. From the dropdown, choose MCP Marketplace to browse pre-built server connections. The marketplace opens with a list of ready-to-use servers. Go ahead and tick the checkbox next to Flight Search. Scroll down to see what other servers are available for testing. Pick the Weather Information server next by checking its box. Add Airbnb listings to your selection as well, so you have a nice variety of tools to test. With all 3 selected, click the Import button at the bottom to bring them into your workspace. And just like that, all 3 servers now appear in your MCP servers list, ready to be connected. The servers have been successfully imported into your workspace. Let's move on to connecting the Flight Search server so we can start running tests against it. To connect the Flight Search server, flip the toggle switch in the Connect column. You'll see the status update from disconnected to connected, which means the server is ready for testing. The Flight Search server is now connected and ready for testing. Let's move on to running the flight status tool to check real-time flight information using its flight number. To start testing, open the Flight Search server by clicking on its row in the list. A confirmation modal will pop up explaining what you can do in the testing workspace. Go ahead and hit Proceed to Testing. Once the testing page loads, jump into the Tools tab from the left sidebar to see everything this server exposes. Take a moment to scroll through the list and get familiar with the available tools. For our first test, pick the Get Type Flight Status tool. Instead of writing raw JSON, switch over to the form view for a cleaner input experience. In the flight number field, enter a valid flight code you want to look up. Next, open the date field and pick a travel date from the calendar. Scroll down a bit to bring the run controls into view. Hit the Run button to fire off the request. The tool executes and returns a response. In this case, we get an error back, which is still valuable information for validating how the server handles this input. Even failed runs are worth saving as test cases. Give it a descriptive name by appending the tool identifier so it's easy to recognize later. Lock it in by clicking Save so this test case is stored for future runs. The Flight Status tool has been tested successfully. Let's move on to testing the Airport Search tool. To verify, we can look up airport details by IATA code. To test the airport search functionality, select the Search Our Airports tool from the list. In the Query field, type in a natural language search describing your travel destination. You'll notice a validation error on the limit field since it can't be 0. Update it to a valid number, like 10, so the tool knows how many results to return. Hit the Run button to execute the tool. The tool runs and returns an error response. This is actually useful information, as capturing error behavior is just as important as capturing success cases when validating your server. Before saving, give this test case a meaningful name by updating the suffix to reflect the search flight scenario you just ran. Once the name looks right, hit Save to store this test case for later. The Airport Search tool is now verified and working as expected. Let's move on to validating the Airport Info tool to confirm it returns accurate details for a given airport code. To validate the Airport Info tool, select Get Airport JOC Info from the tools list and enter a valid IATA code in the field. Give your test case a clear, descriptive name so it's easy to identify later, then hit the Run button to execute it. The tool runs successfully and returns the full airport details, confirming everything is working as expected. Go ahead and hit Save to store this test case for future runs. The airport info tool has been validated successfully. Let's move on to reviewing test cases and run history to see a record of all the tests we've executed so far. Let's see where these saved tests actually live. Head over to the Test Cases tab in the sidebar. You'll find all 3 test cases you just saved listed here. To see the execution log for each run, jump into Run History next. This page gives you a complete trail of every tool execution, which is handy for debugging later. Once you've had a look, click on Overview to head back to the server summary. With our flight search test reviewed and logged, we've covered everything on the server. Let's go to the next step, which is switching and connecting the server, where we'll move over to the Airbnb listing server to test a new set of tools. To switch over to a different server, head back to the overview and open the MCP server dropdown. Pick the Airbnb listings server from the list, which is currently showing as disconnected. The page will load up the Airbnb listings server details, but since we haven't connected yet, its tools and resources aren't accessible. Hit the Connect toggle in the header to establish the connection. Once it's connected, jump into the Tools tab on the left to see what capabilities this server offers. The Airbnb listing server is now connected and ready for testing. Let's move on to running the Listing Details tool to fetch complete information for a specific listing. To try out a listing lookup, open the Getting Listing Details tool from the Capabilities panel. You can browse through the other tools like Search Note Experiences to preview them, then jump back into Get Listing Electric Details when you're ready. Switch over to the form view so you can fill in the parameters through a clean input layout instead of raw JSON. In the Listing ID field, enter a sample identifier to test how the tool responds. Hit the Run button to send the request to the server. The tool executes and returns an error saying the listing wasn't found, which is actually useful since it confirms the server is handling invalid IDs correctly. Give this test a clear descriptive name in the test case name field so you can easily identify it later in your test library. Once that's set, hit Save to store this test case for future runs. The Listing Details tool has returned its response successfully. Let's go to the next step, which is checking run history to review the record of our recent test executions. To check the run history for this server, scroll down through the tool list and open the Run History tab. You'll see the previous run logged here, including the one that failed. Now, jump back to the Test Cases tab to review everything you've saved so far. The run history for the Airbnb server has now been reviewed. Let's move on to reviewing test cases and reports, where we'll take a closer look at all the test cases we've built so far before organizing them into suites. With our tests saved, the test cases page now displays all 4 tests we've built across both servers, neatly grouped by their MCP server. Let's take a quick peek at the Suites tab to see how we can group these together later. Jump over to the Reports tab to see what kind of insights we've already gathered. The Reports page gives you a full analytics overview of every test run so far. Scroll down to explore the charts and metrics, which help you spot trends and track how your tools are performing over time. Head back to the Test Cases tab so we can start organizing these into suites. We finished reviewing our test cases and their results. Let's move on to creating test suites from selections, which lets us group related test cases together so we can run them as a single batch. To start organizing your tests into suites, pick 2 test cases you want to group together, one from each server, hit the Add to Suite button, and then choose New Suite from Selection. In the modal that pops up, give your suite a descriptive name. Confirm it by clicking Create and Add. Let's build another one. Clear your previous selection, then pick 3 different tests you'd like bundled together. Head back to Add to Suite, choose New Suite from Selection, and name this one something meaningful for a regression run covering both flight and accommodation. Save the second suite by hitting Create and Add. Switch over to the Suites tab to see everything you've organized. Once the page loads, you'll spot both suites listed. Expand each one to review the test cases inside them. Our test suites are now organized and ready to go. Let's move on to running a test suite to execute all the grouped test cases together in one go. Now that your suite is ready, let's put it to work. Click on the Flights with Accommodation Test Suite card to open it up. The suite detail page will load, showing you all the test cases bundled inside, along with their configurations. To execute every test case in one go, hit the Run icon in the top right corner. The test suite has finished running. Let's move on to reviewing suite run results to see how each test performed and identify any failures. Once the suite wraps up, expand the run details in the Recent Runs panel to see how things went. You'll get a clear breakdown of each test outcome, with one marked as failed and the other as passed. The suite run results are now reviewed. Let's move on to exploring reports and analytics to get a broader view of test performance and trends across all runs. To dig into the analytics, open the Reports tab from the sidebar. You'll notice the dashboard now reflects the latest data with 6 total executions logged. Scroll down to the Runs table to see a breakdown of each individual run. Here in the Suite column, you can spot the test suite you just executed, making it easy to trace results back to their source. Keep scrolling to reach the Results table, where every individual tool call is listed along with its outcome, timing, and server details. For any failed test, hit the copy icon next to the response to grab the full output for debugging. Take a moment to scroll through the report and review everything from the pass rate over time to the outcome breakdown and per server performance. This is where you'll get the full picture of how your MCP servers are holding up. And that's a wrap. You've now seen the complete MCP server testing lifecycle with MCPCognito Workbench, from creating reusable test cases and test suites to automated execution, detailed reporting, and AI-powered agentic testing. It's time to put it into practice with your own MCP servers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.